Hey guys, it's Davion Washington here, and today I'm going to be going over the Bill of Rights. In the time and age that we live in, I feel as if it's very important to know your rights, especially with everything that's been going on lately in our society. And so, pretty much this video is going to be a rundown of our Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments. Each amendment I'm going to go over, I'm going to read off the exact written amendment, and then I'm going to pretty much clarify, dumb it down a little bit, and pretty much elaborate on it, explain, so people will understand fully their rights, their amendments, their first 10 amendments. I feel as if the Bill of Rights are very important and everybody should know them, especially in civics class. They're very important. You'll be quizzed on them. I know that we had the Bill of Rights pretty much drilled into us. So I'm going to start off with number 1. Amendment number 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. This is pretty much saying freedom of speech. And when people think of freedom of speech, they think of protesting, petitioning, right to religion, and anything like that. Often what we were taught was that people have the right to say what they want to say, but the only discrepancy in that is when you're saying what you want, something that can cause harm within others, is when your freedom of speech is kind of taken away. In a sense, if you yell out a fire and there's no fire, that can cause a lot of problems. If you make a false police call or something like that, that's where your freedom of speech is kind of being abused in a sense. The second is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And pretty much people say the right to bear arms. Lately, we've had a bit of an uproar with Amendment number 2 because there's been a lot of gun violence and people are trying to crack down on gun violence and things like that. So, Amendment 2 is the right to bear arms, and everyone does indeed have the right to bear arms unless you are, I believe, a convicted felon or something along those lines. But everyone has the right to bear arms, but lately we've been trying to figure out ways to control gun laws in order to make our country a safer place with all the gun violence that has been going on. Number 3 is no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. This is something that we don't really see anymore, but it was a huge problem before, is when you had the Quartering Act, and pretty much soldiers were forcibly allowed to stay in any civilian's house. And so this amendment was created to limit that, because soldiers were staying in people's houses, and they were required to house them, feed them, sleep them, and anything like that. So this was created to limit that. The next one, number 4, is the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. So this is the right to against unreasonable searches and seizures. When you're pulled over by an officer, you do have a right to not be searched or seized of any items unless they have a reasonable doubt. And so this is a huge thing that's important for people to know their rights, because a lot of people don't know, and officers can take advantage of that when you don't know your rights. Number 5 is, no person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of grand jury, except in the cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when actual service in time of war or danger. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Often when people, you hear this often, it's I plead the fifth, and so people don't necessarily have to answer questions that are posed against them unless they are on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, and people have that right. Number 6 is, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witness against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witness in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. This is the right to a speedy trial, the right to a lawyer or an attorney. This is so many rights are in this. You have a right to know what you're being put on trial for. You have a right to know who's going against you as your plaintiff or your defendant. So you do have those rights. Number 7 is, in suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. So, if you have any case that is worth more than $20, you do have a right to a case and a trial by jury, and that is another right that people have. You also have the right to have your case re-examined or appealed and moved to a higher court, and that is a huge thing that happens oftentimes in the United States. It's a very important right for people to know. Number 8 is, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Oftentimes when people speak of Amendment number 8, they only say no cruel and unusual punishment, but also it's excessive bail, excessive fines. If your bail and your fines are excessive against the crime you committed, then you have a right to challenge that it does go against the 8th Amendment. Cruel and unusual punishment goes against the 8th Amendment, and that's a huge important thing. Number 9 is a little bit wordy, but I'm going to pretty much dumb it down a little bit. Number 9 says, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So this is pretty much James Madison kind of configured this amendment to pretty much say that although there are certain specific rights written in the Bill of Rights, there are so many basic rights that people have, and that these rights shouldn't be forgotten. So there's so many basic rights that people have, and it's just basics, and that should be known already. Last but not least is our 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So many states have different laws because they have those rights to reserve these powers to the states. And that's pretty much what Amendment 10 is talking about. I know North Carolina has different laws concerning age limits and different things like that, whether it be different sex laws and things like that. So that is a huge part of Amendment 10, is talking about the different rights that are reserved for the states. You may have a law in Colorado that talks about marijuana usage and things like that, but here in North Carolina that's still illegal. So states have these different laws and they're allowed to go about them in whichever way that they please. So these have been the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, and like I said, everybody should know their amendments. Everybody should go about them in a way that they know that what they have rights to and things like that. When people don't know their rights, that's when people eventually falter. And so when you know your amendments, you know what you can do and how you can function in this world, and you can move about it in a more comfortable way. I just want to thank everybody for their time and watching this, and I hope that it helps someone out there, anyone in their civics class, anyone in society, because our amendments are very important, our rights are important, and we do have these rights for a reason. We should definitely use them. We should definitely be knowledgeable of our rights. Thank you. This has been Davion Washington from South Mecklenburg High School, and I hope you all have a great day. Have a great day. Bye-bye.